Welcome back, Patriots. Welcome to Sons of Liberty 1773. I'm your host, Bill Bailey. TGIF, right? Thank God it's Friday. Although we're still living under tyranny, and it's only going to get worse as the clouds of doom engulf this great nation and the world, to be honest. So, a few things I want to cover, but I want to mainly talk about 15-minute cities. Have you heard about them? A friend of mine brought this up, an old friend, the other day, texted me. And I actually knew what he was talking about. I just had not heard about it referred to a 15-minute city. Because back when Agenda 21 first started learning about that through Glenn Beck, was how they want to get all Americans, bulldoze us off out of rural America into cities and keep us there like pin up cattle, and that way we wouldn't have to ride, we'd ride bikes and cars and stuff. So it's basically that. So Wikipedia, if you go over there, they do have a definition for a 15-minute city. They say a 15-minute city is a residential urban concept in which most daily necessities can be accomplished by either walking or cycling from residents' homes. The concept, see also the new herbalism of the 1980s, is present among many. Basically that's it. Everything's within 15 minutes of your residence, okay? So let me open up the internet button here. This is over at earth.org. Sounds like an environmentally friendly website, doesn't it? So the 15-minute city model, encouraging sustainable cities. I'll just get down here. The average citizen of the U.S. and the EU spends more than 200 hours a year in commuting, and that comes with a lot of emissions, right? So I'll just skip down here. The 15-minute city model centers around the concepts of mobility and convenience, was developed by Carlos Marino, this term, in 2016, a French Colombian professor studying technology in cities. He observed that 66% of public spaces in Paris is dedicated to cars, but individual cars only move 17% of the population. The model would bring social, economic, and cultural opportunities less than 15 minutes away from residents. So is there a dark side to this? Could there be a dark side to 15-minute cities? Let's go here over to Zero Hedge, shall we? Climate change lockdowns. Yep, they are actually going there. I suppose that we should have known that this was inevitable after establishing a precedent during the pandemic. Now the elite apparently intend to impose lockdowns for other reasons as well. What I've detailed in this article is extremely alarming, and I hope you will share it with everybody that you can. Climate change lockdowns are here, and if people don't respond very shortly or very strongly to this, it is likely we will soon see similar measures implemented all over the Western world. The elite have always promised to do whatever it takes to fight climate change, and now we are finding out that they were not kidding. Oxford County Council yesterday approved plans to lock residents into one of 6 zones to save the planet from global warming. The latest stage in the 15-minute city agenda is in place. Electronic gates on key roads in and out of the cities, confining residents to their own neighborhoods. So you're going to be held prisoner, folks, in your cities because we got to save the planet. Under the new scheme, if residents want to leave their zone, they will need permission from the council, who gets to decide who is worthy of freedom and who isn't. Under the new scheme, residents will be allowed to leave their zone a maximum of 100 days per year. Oh, they're so generous. But in order to even gain this, every resident will have to register their car details with the council, who will then track their movements via smart cameras around the city. It's total Orwellian, isn't it? If you want to read this whole article, folks, it's over at Zero Hedge. Climate change lockdowns. Yep, they're actually going there as the heading. Just a second. I want to make sure that you guys were seeing that. I hope you were. I think you were. Okay. All right. Before we continue, So, would they? Do you think they won't do this, folks? Is there in the tyrannical new world order that's taking over? Uh, this leads to a revolution because people ain't going to put up with this. I don't know if they really think they don't study history, what populations do when you put them under the iron fist of tyranny, especially in the modern world where people can literally 3D print weapons. Not smart, but we're not dealing with rocket scientists. You know, the elites, they like to think, and I've been reading that book by Alex Jones, The Great Reset and the War for the World. And the elites really do think they are elites, that they're going to be like gods, these technocrats, that technology is going to lead them into living forever. They will become gods, and they just see the rest of us as a tool for that means. We are just pin-up cattle to them in these cities. And when they got to get rid of a third of it, look what they're doing to the cattle. They got to get rid of a bunch of them because flatulence is ruining the ozone. They're cutting nitrogen output because the dire, for this 0.5% temperature change, and they're going to wipe out a third of humanity by starving us to death because there's not going to be enough food. But to them, that just is part and parcel. They don't care, folks. So I just wanted to share that with you. Be aware. All right, and we'll move on to other stuff I got. I want to share with you here. Let me pull it up. I can attest to this article. It's over at Zero Hedges as well. The skyrocketing unaffordability of the American dream, talking about being able to buy a home. For most people now, with the price of homes and the rising mortgage rates, most Americans can no longer afford to buy a home. It's sad. It's just the truth. It's going to fall apart, though. This will change. The mortgage payment for the median new home sold in the U.S. during October 2022 would now consume nearly half the monthly income of an American household earning a median income. The following chart indicates that development. Let me pause that, folks. Right there. You can see it skyrocketing. The negative change in primarily the consequence of rising mortgage rates, which have been pushed upward as the U.S. Federal Reserve has sought to make borrowing more expensive, an attempt to stall the reverse President Biden's inflation of the U.S. economy. The next chart here shows how mortgage rates have exploded during in the 2022 response. As mortgage rates have exploded, median new homes have remained elevated, holding down their raw level of affordability with respect to median household income itself. The third chart confirms the raw affordability of new homes has hit a new low in that measure. October 2022's estimated median household income is $78,595, would only cover 17.06% of the sale price of a median new home sold during the month. New homes have never been less affordable for the typical American household. So as rates continue to go up, what's happening now, there's still a lot of cash out there. So the few things going on. Number one is people realize their home is their best investment. I'm not selling it. People that were thinking about selling their second homes, their vacation homes, they're holding on to them. Because, look at inflation's eating up their everything else. Your tangible assets are your best investments, in my opinion. Gold, silver, homes, antiques, rare cars, rare guns, all that stuff. Something that's got an intrinsic value. But homes are really real estate's really a solid value, even though it's overinflated. At least if it deflates, you still own it, right? Especially if you have no debt on it. So people aren't letting loose of their homes, so there's not much on the market, okay? People can't afford to build a new home because, like in our area, $300 a square foot to build a home is kind of just a basic house. So, 1,000 square foot, not very big, right? 300 grand. 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 500-600 grand. People can't afford it. So that also drives up the homes that are on the market, because, you'll buy an existing home and live with it, even though it's maybe not the floor plan, thinking, well, we can build on and add another bedroom, bath, whatever, being the cheaper option. But what's happening right now is the mortgage buyers are drying up, okay? That's only leaving the cash buyers, okay, and, as a percentage. And but that will fade away as time goes by too. You're going to see this flip. Homes will be coming up on the market. People that have variable rate loans are going to get hit. They're going to either sell their home or there'll be foreclosures and such. So it still is a seller's market, but it's changing quickly. Sign of the times, folks. Satanic temple installs serpent of Genesis statue inside the Illinois state capitol. Tucker Carlson interviews mom who raised concerns over sexual poster in elementary school, had police called on her by high-ranking military officials. I'm sorry, let me make that a little bigger so you can see it. There we go. But, there was another a school, they were handing out sex toys to kids. I won't get into it. And it's all just a big laugh. Nobody cares. We are in the times of Sodom and Gomorrah, and you want to be one of the people that God would consider you like Lot's family. Because if we don't turn this country around, the wrath of God is coming. I just think God's not going to put up with this stuff. Each to their own, okay? House passes bill to codify same-sex marriage. Measure heads to Biden's desk. So the biblical term of marriage between a man and a woman, which is, I am a social conservative. Look, I don't care about your sexual preference in America, each to their own. But when you start invading my space and my beliefs and pushing that stuff in the schools, then I do have a big problem with it. And I always thought that gay couples, to get along with Christians and people that are religious, would come up with their own term for their union. But, the devil doesn't want that to happen. He wants to pervert everything good and noble in the world biblically. And so, that biblical man-woman marriage since Adam and Eve, the book of Genesis, right, is being perverted. And they go further and they tie it to the rainbow, folks. You know what the rainbow stands for, don't you? It's the promise by God after Noah. He saves Noah and his family, right? For all those people that mock preppers, by the way, they were mocking I think Noah spent 100 years building the ark. And they were making fun of him. God, that's funny. Crazy guy's got his family building this ark. And until the ark door shut and it was raining. Then they were beating on it. Let me in. No can do, said Noah. But once the ark landed, right, God made a covenant with Noah and his family that he would go out and populate the planet. And he would never flood the earth again, okay? So I'm not worried about all these climate. The earth's going to flood because God made a promise. He's not going to destroy humanity by flooding the earth again. Now, he may do it through drought or fire, but not flooding. So, and he created a bow in the sky. As he said, every time it's cloudy, you will see my bow in the sky to remind you of this covenant I made, which is the rainbow, okay? So that's biblical as well. But perverting the meaning of that is nothing out of the ordinary in the world we're living in. So FBI assistant director behind Whitmer kidnapping sham, who then moved to D.C. To, be involved in the January 6th scam as well. Sham quietly announces he's retiring from the FBI. Could it be because we're finding out everything we know is, we all know this, right? The FBI is a corrupt, sinister organization working to undermine the foundation of this country. They're in bed with the DNC. They're the Gestapo for the communist DNC. But could it be that the House Republicans are going to be investigating and he sees his opportunity to flee as now? I don't think that saves him from being subpoenaed. But I want to go after these people's retirements, folks. I want to take their legs out from under them. And in some instances, I do believe capital punishment is warranted for some of the treason that's being committed by these ABC organizations. George Washington would handle this stuff. And once he executed a couple of these bastards, everybody else would straighten up and fly right. And if they didn't, they knew what was going to happen. But I suspect he sees us coming. And I want to go after these guards that abuse these our January 6th Patriot detainees. I want to go after the warden. I want to go after the sham January 6th committee. I want to go after all of them. I mean, I want heads on pikes. If we don't get justice on this stuff, our country's gone. It's not complicated. Or it's gone at least as trying to fix it with the legal means that we've always used. How many Republicans have you seen battling for the abuse of the January 6th Patriots that are detained in the D.C. Gitmo? Can you name 3? I can. I don't know that I can name 5 out of the Republicans. So if you don't think our country's pretty whacked, there's a good example. You won't see this happening for Joe Biden. Pastors for Trump coalition formed ahead of 2024. We are in a spiritual war. I'm sorry, folks. Why are you not seeing that? Right there you go. Pastors for Trump coalition formed ahead of 2024. We are in a 99% spiritual warfare. Good against evil. And a lot of people believe, even Trump, we all got our flaws, right? That God is using him, and they're going to get behind him and support him. The religion of peace over there. Sick Iranian security forces target female protesters with bullets, shooting them with bullets to their faces, breast, and lower extremities. So, world we're living in, folks. I got this one. Ukraine debt relief included in U.S. defense bill approved by House. 176 Republicans voted for it. Of course they did. They're part of the Uniparty. The Bidens funneled $1.8 billion to Ukraine while Hunter begged sweet deal with Burisma. The U.S. defense bill passed the House today in a 350 to 80 vote. 176 Republicans voted for the bill. 35 Republicans voted against the bill. But here you go, folks. I guys got to make sure you can see this. You can. The U.S. has given over $60 billion to Ukraine since March 2022. The U.S. has proposed to give over $100 billion to Ukraine just this year, and that will go up, unfortunately. Biden climate czar John Kerry says American taxpayer money should be used to pay other countries climate reparations. He is a liberal whack job. No surprise he would say that. And I had brought this up before, but FBI reportedly investigating at least 5 electricity substation attacks in Washington and Oregon that are similar to North Carolina. And then lastly, more evidence that Twitter was run by the deep state. Former CIA and FBI employee identified at the top of the censorship activities. Media is such a powerful tool to winning elections, okay? You got to be able to communicate. And when you got big tech magnifying any message from the left that's pro-Biden and Democrats, and then suppressing the competitors so no one sees their ads. And you can mess with these algorithms a million ways. You could say, okay, you're going to advertise for your Republican candidate. We'll make sure that the people that see it, it will get views, but we'll make sure it's Democrats or people that don't live in America, people that will never vote for your candidate. Or they'll just suppress it so nobody sees it. And it's just another tool to subvert our process here in this country. And it just is what it is, folks. So 15-minute cities, our internment camps is what it looks like to me. You heard the one, they're going to gate it. You'll have to get permission to leave the city and go for a long. So if I, at the time, in the future, have a 440 6-pack Roadrunner or a dual quad Hemi with, open headers and no emissions, do they shoot me for driving that fire-breathing dragon down the tarmac? That's the world we're heading into. Crazy times we're living in, and I just hate to tell you, it's going to get a lot worse, folks. You got to take time to breathe and laugh when you can, because we're living in a mad world that's only going to get more dystopian and darker as these communists that have seized control of this country lead us into the greatest depression and quite possibly nuclear world war. They're leading us into World War III. We are in World War III right now. We have, military people, advisors or whatever they call them, like we started out in Vietnam with, on the battlefields. My gut is we're losing men and women, and it shows up at a star on the wall somewhere or something, and we're not learning about it. But the families eventually are going to say, my son or daughter is MIA, and they're not telling us what's going on. I think there's a lot of shifty stuff going on behind the scenes. So that's it. I'm going to make a really short video about an update on my case with the Michigan Supreme Court, and I will post that over at Rumble. Enjoy your Friday and your weekend, folks. I know it's tough out there. Prep. If you get bored this weekend, take a drive to Fill Up Fridays. Right now we got to fill up our vehicles. I'm trying to get that going as a reminder. Just happened to think about it. Make sure our vehicles are topped off Friday evening. And then if you get bored this weekend and need to go somewhere, why don't you go do some shopping and buy some preps? Go to Sam's or Costco. Buy a 50-pound bag of rice or whatever other preps that you're in need of, and because the pain is coming, folks. The pain is coming, unfortunately, and you might as well be ready for it. I'm certainly prepping. I just see UPS or FedEx delivered the one piece I was missing. I bought the ferrets or whatever to protect from an EMP that go on your two main hot wires in your ground and your electric panel, but I was missing the whole house surge protector. The one I wanted has been out of stock, but there's another one that I've learned is just as good that I bought. It's like $300. I mean, am I happy about spending $300 to protect my house against something that may never happen? Not really, but if it does happen and it saves my house from an electrical fire or keeps all my wiring intact in the house so I can run a generator after an EMP event, will I be happy I spent the $300? You darn right. Okay, that's it. Fill up your cars, buy preps. That's my advice for the weekends, and enjoy, life as much as you can. All right, God wins. That's what keeps me going. Is as dark and evil as it looks like it's going to get, and we probably are living in the last few pages of the last book of the Bible. We know how the story ends, right? So, somebody mentioned, as the second coming gets closer, things will get more heated. The devil will want to destroy and corrupt as much as he can. So when you start thinking about it like that, well, it's all making sense maybe. All right, take care, Patriots. Remember, we never surrender, we never retreat, we're always moving forward.